Hello, this is Derek from VolitionRecordingStudio.com. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for watching this video. For those of you who are on this channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel for more free tutorials on mixing and audio engineering related content. So, continuing from the last video on gain staging, this will be the next step. This will be static mixing. So for those of you that haven't checked out the last video on gain staging, I highly recommend that you go back to check that out, as this will be the next logical step. It will build a foundation from the last video. So what is static mixing? So last time gain staging was about kind of managing the volume or the dynamics of the audio track for what we have here. So just to refresh your memory, we're gonna kind of turn everything back on, so everything is gain staged. So just to let you have an idea of how I manage the volumes. All right. What we're doing takes time. There's no rush of the finish line. All right, so that's a little preview for you. So we kind of go over, because last video we only went over a few tracks that we gain stage, so this is just gain staging the rest of the tracks as we're gonna go forward from here. The next step will obviously be the volume faders themselves, and static mixing, essentially what that means is we're kind of building ourselves the initial balance, the initial foundation, that when we go to do the plugins, go to do the effects, it will just be built on top of this foundation. So this is where the most important part is that we kind of fit everything in just the volumes to make sure that we have ourselves a good idea of how the song sounds with the volume adjustments. And then the next important thing about static mixing is that we actually go into panning. So for those of you who don't know what panning is essentially assigning a direction for your audio. So kind of like when you go see like a live concert, maybe of a rock band or something, you probably have noticed, like, you're probably wondering why they are in a specific area and position. So it's kind of like the same idea. It's almost like if you want your guitars to be on the left, I guess the right, because you're facing the audience in that case. But pretty much the idea is the same here, is that you want to essentially guide your tracks to be in a certain direction here. All right. To get started with static mixing, there are two ways to approach this. So the first option is that we can bring all our volume faders down to 0, or I guess in this case it will be so it's not hearable. Or the other popular option to start static mixing is that we bring everything. My apologies here. So we can bring everything at the starting port of 0, and then from there, oopsies, one sec here. And then from there, we can just slowly bring things down. So that's another way to do it. It doesn't really matter which way you will go with. As long as you kind of stick with something and just give it a shot. It's kind of different for every person. Personally, when I go do static mixing, I actually start from not being able to hear anything and slowly bring things up, because I think that way it's, you're not too overloaded with everything all at once, so you kind of end up making a better decision when you actually start static mixing. All right, so I'm going to start with my method. So I'm just going to pull everything down first. So generally, when I go to do static mixing, we go from bottom up. So in this case, what bottom up means is we start from the lowest frequency, in this case, kind of like our instrument. So in this case, I start with the drum kit first, and then we work our way up to the vocals, and then we slowly just bring out the volume, and then we slowly bring out the panning. So I'm going to bring up the elements slowly. So around -3. So around -3 will be kind of a good idea. So I'm gonna go through every track here to just build a little samples static mix for you guys to take a look at. So just bear with me here.
we're doing takes time. There's no rush over the finish line. Please breathe in the light. Don't feel like a passerby while they pass you by. Going slow.
Alright, so sorry for that long quietness right there. So that was just a little glimpse and a little idea of how I'll approach a static mix. So it's kind of a little different for everyone, but pretty much the idea is still the same and universal, as you're just slowly kind of working through the tracks and making sure you're able to hear everything. So another recommendation that I like to give to you guys is, like, it's great to have everything, the master volume at 0, but it's also a very good idea to put the volume down, I'll say about -30, and just you want to be able to hear how the low end is doing. So during this volume when we're at around -30, are you able to hear the kick, the snare, and the bass properly? So I'm just going to play that and let you guys have a listen here. Alright, so from what I can hear, the bass is actually cutting a little bit better. Generally, this is kind of like a first round of static mixing. This is kind of a very essential step from the out of the 5 secrets. This is probably the most important, in my opinion, to kind of get everything fitting and being able to hear everything properly. So I highly recommend that you kind of go through this, your song or your mix or whatever you're trying to do, and just go over it a few times. Have to probably tweak it a few more times and before you're actually ready for the next step. So that wraps it up of the 5 secrets to an amazing mix. Thank you very much, guys. You enjoy the rest of the day.